Hello, guys. Welcome to the very first episode of the Degen Den.
Let's go.
Let's go. So I'm joined by Tom Gray-Smith.
Full name.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just so people can look you up.
Well, everything's on private because I don't even trust me.
And of course, I'm Hayden.
Full name, mate, so people can look your ass up.
Hayden Kerr.
Oh.
Yeah, beautiful.
How did you play cricket?
I do, mate. I've got a cricket team.
Sydney Sixers.
So yeah, guys, for those all one of you out there who are probably listening, what's this podcast going to be about, Tom?
Mate, it's just talking all things crypto. It's two mates just having a yarn. All things that we find interesting in the market, things that we're feeling a little bit degenerate about.
Yeah.
And we like talking about this stuff all the time.
We do.
And we love having a good laugh about it.
Yeah.
And also getting into some nitty gritty of some information, that sort of stuff. And we thought, you know what? Some other people might want to listen to.
Yeah.
Or probably won't. But we'll have a good time doing it.
Yeah.
If you guys like it too, then, have a follow, have a listen. And, we're just going to check out a bunch of things. The great man opposite me, Dos here, is, mate, you really did co-create / invent this GameDay squad project.
Yeah.
Very quickly, give us a little bit about this, because when I introduce you to my friends that aren't crypto native,
Yeah.
I say, I've got a mate, he's in the crypto space and he's created this NFT platform around fantasy sports.
Mhm.
That's how I describe it to him.
Yeah.
How would you describe it though?
Yeah, so I guess very briefly, so GameDay Squads, it's a fantasy sport platform that's built on the Polygon blockchain, right? So we've got a Polygon, we're using the Polygon blockchain to create our digital assets, which are both non-fungible tokens and semi-fungible tokens. We can get into that later, what that means. But yeah, essentially players or coaches will open packs, similar to our FIFA Ultimate Team, for those who've played that before. You open packs, and the players that come out of these packs are digital assets. All right, the semi-fungible tokens or non-fungible tokens, and they will be players that you can use on our fantasy sport platform, right? And there's different rarities of players. So the more rarer player, which is our one-of-one legend cards, which are NFTs, they will give you a 1.5 times score multiplier on their score. So if they score 100, if you got a legend card of that, they'll get 150 points, right? Now, we go through lower. There's 1.4, 1.3, all the way down to one standard, which is our bronze cards. But essentially, the rarer the card is, the higher multiplier it has on your fantasy sports score. For those people who play fantasy sports out there, it works very similar. Ownership over your digital assets that you can use on our platform. Yeah, that's simple.
And it's fantastic. And what I love is, I remember when you first came to me with the idea and you're thinking it through and stuff, but you've actually gone out and built this thing, right? And it's going live in this week, next week?
Hopefully in the next week. That's our goal. Yeah.
I mean, that's just fantastic. You're literally building in this space. And I think that's awesome. And so,
with a great team, I will add. The GameDay Squad team, absolutely awesome.
Yes, absolutely. Put that together. But you're in here, you're invested in it, and that's what it's about. So, we have so many good chats about this whole crypto space.
Plenty of times where we've been like, I should have got that on a podcast.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
This is what we're doing.
It's interesting stuff. And look, you got to have fun. You got to have fun with whatever you do. We'll have a few beers, have a few laughs, and there we go.
Yeah, great. Where would you like to start? What should we start off with?
Mate, I am keen to hear your take on the macro crypto environment right now. There is so much stuff going on. We got Putin out there.
Yep.
We got interest rates. We've got inflation. We've got a lot of macroeconomic things happening.
Yes.
Just want to know your general take, your sentiment of the market right now.
Sentiment of the market is nobody knows what's fucking going on.
No.
Nobody knows. And anybody that says they know what's going to happen,
don't trust them.
Don't trust them.
No.
global macroeconomic. Like, look, first of all, when I first entered this, I didn't give a shit about Bitcoin. I'm just like, I want to like learn about the coins that I'm interested in, like my Cardanos, my Solanas, like.
Well, our first introduction to this was gaming. Like back when we first looked at it,
we did. We called it.
Holy moly!
Gala Games bought it under 2 cents.
Look, that's one trade we got right.
Yeah, exactly. A few we got wrong.
yeah. But the narrative is what we got right. And when we first looked at that, and I remember that first weekend. I think we had a lot of rain that weekend. So I locked myself up for a few days and went to do as much research as possible and saw the connection between ownership of digital assets, gamification, and everything becoming digitalized. And going, holy crap! I did not realize how many gamers there were out there and how big the gaming industry was. And so to understand that, so a lot of stuff that we've looked at is metaverse specific.
I was doing a little bit of research for a blog I'm currently writing for GameDay Squad about the future of fantasy sports. Look it up on our blog section of our website. And I think it was Fortnite when they did an NFL drop of skins. So like, the skins for the Fortnite game, it was like, I think it was November and December of 2020, right? This is when they did a drop. They made $50 million USD for that one drop of skins.
Wow.
And you do not own those skins.
No.
Epic Games retains ownership. You cannot sell them. You can't do anything with them. You can wear them, but you're essentially renting them.
Yeah. And that's
$50 million, one drop.
That's the thing. You spend all these hours, all this time, all this effort and money, clearly, on these games. And what happens if either the Epic Games or Riot Games or whoever owns the game decides to nerf whatever you've got, right? And changes it and whatever, then it's not worth that much or whatever. And then also, what happens if you simply don't play it anymore? You've put all this time and effort in. Look, arguably, people go, I put all that time and effort and I didn't actually want any return. That's fine. But what if you could put in all that time, effort, and money into something, and then you actually did get rewarded? There
was the option for it. To at least get reimbursed.
It's like you're going to play the game anyway when it's good enough and you enjoy it. And it's like you've done all that effort to, I don't know, kill all the warlocks in... I don't know.
Well, the amount of hours that people spend playing World of Warcraft, those MMORPGs, they just sink hours. Like, what do they all do it for? For fun, for community. Like, there are some positive things, and some not so positive things as well that come with gaming a lot. But essentially, like, if you go to gamers, hey, there is an opportunity for you to either, make a little bit of your money back or even profit into this. It's going to be a game changer.
Yeah, and that's it. It's true ownership. In a world where everything's digitalized, access to anything is limitless. Information has never been so readily available before. How do we differentiate between what someone owns, what someone has, and what's real or not?
The answer is the blockchain.
Right. And that's what's changed.
And the beauty, I guess, to simply explain the blockchain, I'm interested if you've got a different way of explaining this, but it's essentially like depending on the type of blockchain, but it's the general explanation is it's a decentralized database that records transactions and ownership reliably and trustlessly. And that's a big part. Because we do have a system that works like this at the moment, which is called the banks.
Right.
It's just we put all the trust in the banks, and they go, we're happy to do that, but we'll take a nice little fee.
Yes.
So essentially, the blockchain acts in a different way using consensus mechanisms, but essentially, the blockchain has led to the ability to verify digital assets, which has never been able to have been done before.
Yes, and what I love so much about it is that everyone gets the opportunity to own a little bit of the pie. And Raoul Pal, who we listen to all the time, I think he's
every video.
Such a mind in this space. But he brings out that chart all the time that shows the rate of adoption of the internet versus crypto.
Yes, I love that chart.
Starting at, I believe it's 5 million.
I'm not sure about the specifics.
I think it starts at that and goes up like that. And obviously crypto is way outperforming the adoption from the internet, which is wild to even conceive.
Yeah.
Right.
I heard he said it was similar to like where we were at like 1999 with the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is with the internet and the .com bubble and subsequent crash and everything there is that not everyone got it right. And there were some big winners and stuff like that. But what was the biggest winner was the internet one, as in like the internet,
the technology's
there and everything like that. And there was some specific, you had to bet on the specific, I guess, companies within it. And there's a little bit similar now, but the difference with crypto is you actually get a piece of that, of the internet.
Right? Of the technology.
Because that's the whole thing in my mind of decentralization. Instead of outsourcing the, I guess, confirmation or consensus through to the banks and the verification, is where actually the individuals amongst in that, I guess, ecosystem unit, they're getting rewarded.
Exactly.
Token holders.
The banks just aren't taking all of the value here. So to reel it back in off this tangent, I think you'll find on this show we love a tangent.
Love a good tangent.
But I just wanted to know about that. I wanted to look at the different gaming coins, the different altcoins, the ones that I found interesting. And then I kept finding that price would not really be all that related to what was going on with that project. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then, I watch a few different videos and I find out that pretty much the majority of the altcoin market, most of the time, is directly related to what Bitcoin's doing.
Right.
They're so closely correlated. Like you look at the Ethereum and the Bitcoin chart, it's nearly the same chart. Like it does nearly the exact same things. It will sometimes
timing difference though.
Yeah, a timing difference. Like it will, but sometimes like Ethereum could run on a bit higher. Like it's about, but it all follows the Bitcoin structure.
Yes.
Right. And it's really interesting to see coins when they go against the Bitcoin structure. Yeah. That's super interesting. There will be a couple, like Solana did that for a little while. Avalanche, Luna. Oh my God, it's busting all-time highs, and Bitcoin's down at like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Beautiful example. So I've got to learn about Bitcoin and like what makes the Bitcoin price ticks when it goes up, when it goes down. So I just wanted to learn about altcoins and gaming coins. And now I've got to learn about Bitcoin. And then you're like, okay, what's Bitcoin related to? And then you're like, well, it's actually, there are strong relations to the international markets, like what's happening in the stock market, the commodities market, what's gold, like it's related to what's the geopolitical events that are happening today.
Yeah.
So as somebody who I have never had an interest in history. I've always been very not interested really, to be honest, about what's going on in the rest of the world.
I am getting a bloody minor in the thing.
You're a history buff. Yeah. So I've picked your brain about a few different things and stuff that I've never been interested in before. And that's through learning about Bitcoin.
Well, and that's it. If you actually take the time to look back over history in terms of economic, the history of economics, economic factors, you really do get a much greater appreciation for the history of money.
Yes. Great appreciation. Bitcoin Standard, great book. You want to
and just when the US went off the gold standard, and when you actually understand money at a deeper philosophical point, then you start going, how the hell have we got a situation where we've got an asset class that we're totally fine with that is depreciating at a minimum of 2% inflation per year?
Crazy.
How is that?
Recent stats were 7%.
Recent
ones the other day.
Yeah, exactly. So just on average, it's like, how are we okay with that?
Yeah.
And look, I don't actually even own any Bitcoin.
Yeah, you don't.
Right? I don't even. I just think in terms of bang for my buck and from an investment point of view. But the understanding more and more of the economics of it, I'm just like, okay, wow, that's really interesting. But yes, I'm like you and going, okay, this metaverse, this gaming thing that we saw a fair while ago, and now, like, because I think when we were first, definitely when we were first looking at it, the word metaverse wasn't a thing.
No,
that wasn't a thing.
No, yeah. It was interesting. The story, the first time I probably talked about crypto. So interesting. Your dad separately had sent you a video about the metaverse. Do you remember that?
That's the first time I saw the word.
Yeah.
What is this? He didn't know what it was.
And you asked me, like, are they related? And I'm like, I don't know.
yeah. Let me do a deep dive.
Yeah.
But I knew just how many people were gaming around the world. Well, I found the data, and then I saw the revenue. And when I put the dots together, going, the gaming sector gross per year is more than music and movies combined.
Yeah.
Like, that is a massive sector. How do I not know that? Right? And then
it's only getting bigger.
Yeah. And it's just so that's really interesting. And then over the last year, we've just seen everything that's got to do with metaverse and the gamification of everything, and all the great minds around the world jumping in and funding metaverse.
Facebook
Web 3.0
literally changed its name.
It was wild. So, I mean, from one point of view, it's kind of cool that to some degree we front run that.
We did, yeah.
And, I'll be the first to say that, I don't get around technical analysis at all. I think it's witchcraft. I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. And it's not my specialty. What I like looking at is, from the more psychological point of view, is narrative.
The narratives,
Yes.
And the market is run by narratives.
Yeah, and that's what I feel I've cut my teeth on, and what I kind of look for is that narrative. And then the other part to that is going, okay, what's the narrative in terms of sort of macro psychology, right? Going, okay, what's the group people, what are they in? Because that's what trends and culture are. It's sort of global psychology, social changes and that sort of stuff, which is kind of my background. And then it's also understanding the team. In my background, doing psychometric testing in the corporate environment and stuff, going, okay, we've got to really look at the right people in the right space.
Who's making these projects?
So jumping in the team, and that's some of the first stuff with Gala and Illuvium. Really enjoyed the team. And then I think, that next stage for me is understand the tokenomics, and that's definitely the weakest from my point of view, but that's really interesting. And I think we're seeing that of late when we were chatting about different projects, going, it can be a really good idea. You can front run some narratives. You can have an amazing team. But if you've got shit tokenomics,
it's not going anywhere.
As an investment point of view, not that great. So can you explain to me, my friend, how would you define tokenomics?
Great question. Tokenomics are the properties of how I guess it's a few different things. Part of it can be like the token release schedule, like how. So, speaking about the consensus mechanisms and how instead of paying the bankers, we're going to pay the people who are operating this network, right? So we're going to pay the people who are providing consensus. So these are, depending on the type of blockchain, either the miners or the stakers.
Right.
So they get a piece of the pie, depending on if they're using mining or staking. We got to give a little bit to the liquidity providers. So decentralized exchanges, an absolute crazy, like, it's changed the game. Like, no longer do we have to rely on like a centralized exchange to hold all these assets and you to buy and sell from them.
So if we can give an analogy for all the three listeners out there, it's like, instead of having a bank, so the bank is the liquidity, because they've got the storage of wealth there and they give out the money, so they are the pool of liquidity. And then also they are the consensus mechanism, because they're the ones that are ticking the authority on the transaction as it all goes through them, and they all do it in a centralized fashion, which means they control it from the top down. Whereas decentralized is that liquidity, so the coins, token, money, or whatever, is a bunch of people own that, and they're providing to a larger pool. And then also there's a bunch of people that are node operators, that are miners or whatever, that for their work of verifying a transaction instead of the teller at the bank verifying it in a centralized top-down approach, they're verifying it in a decentralized approach. And they get a small reward for it.
That's exactly it. Well put.
Game changer.
Absolute game changer. A few other things to look at is what did the team get? Because quite often the team will get tokens for being part of the project. It's similar to giving yourself stocks in as part of like a startup or something. Like you might pay yourself in stocks or whatever. So these token holders might, if they're the creators of the project, they might go, okay, we're going to give ourselves this many tokens over this many years. You got to look at the token release schedule, because sometimes it's like, well, we'll lock it up for a year or 2 years or whatever. So you get these tokens, but only after 2 years. So you can't just get them and sell them straight away. So learning about understanding how many tokens are going to liquidity providing, staking to the team.
So that's kind of like how many tokens in general.
Well, that's important too. Understand,
right? Because how many total Bitcoins are there?
21 million.
So there's 21 million, right? And so there's a fixed schedule of how they're released in mind.
Yeah.
So that changes. That has a huge influence on price.
Yes.
Because what you can
every 4 years is the halving, where the rewards for mining Bitcoin get halved.
Right.
I think we're at 6.25 now, and I think we're about roughly 2 years away from the next halving. We're about halfway-ish, maybe a little bit further along.
Yeah, and then that is what we call deflationary in nature, because there's a fixed supply of a certain resource. Therefore, scarcity is going to increase because supply is fixed and it's not increasing. Whereas if we can comparatively do that to the dollar, is that they are printing more, creating more all the time. So it's inflationary by design, because there's more of an asset, there's more of a resource that is going on the market each year.
And there are like some legitimate arguments about inflationary currencies and about the value of...
There's some pros for it,
Definitely, but I guess if you're looking for a store of value, you're like, how can I store my wealth, my value over time? Then you would look at something that is deflationary, which is what Bitcoin is. Like, it's got very strict rules and it's super decentralized. It would be very difficult to, take it down at this point because of how decentralized it is. It's important to understand all of how the tokenomics work in order to understand how successful a project is going to be.
Yeah, so understanding how many tokens it's got, what's the supply of the tokens, what's the release, and any other things that I'm missing there.
There's a few. You can go super deep into it, but that's the gist of it for sure.
That's the gist. And those things sort of influence the price, because some people look at it and I think we're going to dive into this one a little bit in a second here with Illuvium, because you look at it and you're going, it was sitting at over 1,000, at $1,800 for one coin.
USD,
Compare that to something like Cardano, that was I think the third highest market cap for a coin, and it was sitting at $1.50 sort of thing.
This is a thing that newbie crypto investors get tricked by all the time.
That's what I wanted to ask you.
Do not look at the price of the token to understand its value.
Correct.
The more, and it's not the best way of looking at it, but a closer to accurate way of looking how big a project is at its market cap.
Yes.
So I couldn't verbalize exactly how to explain a market cap, but it's essentially like how much money's in the project, right? How big that project is financially speaking. So something like ADA, which was third, it's dropped down a little bit now after a bit of it has a terrible few years. Although I am expecting a Cardano bounce back though later this year. I don't think Cardano is dead. But essentially, understanding all of those elements comes into play.
Right, because I'm pretty sure, could be wrong, but the market cap refers to the total value of all of the company's share of the stock, right? So it's multiplying, I think, the price of the stock by its total number of shares. Right? Or tokens.
Tokens, not shares, tokens. Yeah.
So, that's a different way of looking at it. And that fluctuates a lot. So what I'm interested in is, for example, when we're talking about Illuvium, because we've been talking about Illuvium a fair bit.
We've spent a lot of time.
And, we could keep going on these wonderful tangents that we like doing. But I reckon that it would be very interesting to just dive deeply a bit into Illuvium.
Yeah.
And what we like about it, because we've just outlined some of the things that we really like in other projects. So we've spoken about that we like narrative, that we look for narrative first.
Yep.
And then we talk about the team, and then we look at the tokenomics.
Yep.
So with that sort of macro structure in place,
Sure.
let's use that in a specific example with Illuvium.
Yeah, definitely. So let's start off with Axie Infinity, right, which took the world by absolute storm, or the world, I should say, the Philippines by absolute storm, which were the people in the Philippines were earning more money playing the game Axie Infinity than going to work. So these people in third world countries, instead of doing your full day work laboring or whatever they would do, they'd get more money playing a video game, and that was super successful for Axie Infinity. Now, for those who have looked at Axie Infinity, it's not a very fun game.
Yeah, it's dog shit.
It's like, there's a little bit of skill to a little bit of strategy. Like, it's okay. It's not like a terrible game.
But it's like grabbing a mobile phone from the mid-2000s.
Yes.
And going, is this Snake or is this...
Exactly. It's the Snake of
graphics,
the generation.
It's not very immersive.
And
it's pile of shit, in my opinion.
And they have missed a trick here, because the amount of money they made, they could have turned this into like a multi-billion-dollar studio in which they're producing AAA quality games. But they seem perfectly happy to ride along the narrative being the number one video game. And at the moment, there isn't many play-to-earn games out there.
There's no competitor really to it. There's no competitor, but there's actually not that many games out there.
No.
Like even when we were talking about with Gala and their flagship thing that we first saw with Mirandus that really got us onto the project in the first place, that's 2 years away, minimum. So, all right, let's another one.
Several years away.
Years away. So, there's this sweet balance between putting these massive multiplayer games together that's really going to utilize the magic and the benefit of the blockchain and NFTs and true ownership of in-game assets. You've got that, but you've got to balance that with timing.
Of course.
When do you enter the market? So obviously Axie is on the far left hand of the scale.
Yeah.
And they just go, hey, we're just going to get to market and
they did it.
Market.
Credit to them. They're all very rich. Yeah. All the people involved in the Axie, like they did it. They don't need to do jack shit. They will live the rest of their lives very rich, very happy. But for those who are wanting a little bit more, Illuvium is the it's the first triple. It's the way they're describing it's the first AAA game onto the blockchain, and in narratives, being first matters, right? So actually being able to come in and present a game which people enjoy playing, which people will play regardless of if they earn from it or not. Right? That's the thing. When people think about play to earn games, they think, oh, it's going to be a shitty game like an Axie Infinity. But it doesn't have to be. These games in the future, we're not going to think of play to earn versus not play to earn. The play to earn element's going to just integrate into these games.
Yeah, you won't know the difference. And the same thing is when we look at, say, Fortnite, like compared to like previous to the free to play, but you pay for skins and in-game assets. Before that, you had to buy the disc from the store.
Yes.
And you paid to play the game, whether it was multiplayer or not.
Yeah.
And that's where the revenue stream was from. And then I'm sure there was some sticking points at the start when someone came into the boardroom meeting and said, hey, what if we make all the games free?
No, mate.
But
terrible idea.
But we
little
microtransaction
assets. Yeah. Freemium is the word.
Freemium, right? So small transactions on a huge scale.
Game changer.
And
the blockchain, the play to earn, is the evolution of that.
Exactly right.
So to quickly, I guess, and we do need to go shortly. We've got a game of cricket to go to. But to, I guess, summarize why we're so interested in Illuvium is it's going to be the first AAA game to the blockchain. That's the narrative part. It's focusing on a auto battler style game. So these are It's a new genre, but it's a popular genre with people. Like the
Yeah.
League of Legend has a version of it. There's a few different ones.
Mm.
That's part of it. There's the adventure mode. That's part of Pokemon. Like
Mm.
that, it's kind of a lot like Pokemon. So people are gonna, and it's a beautiful game as well. So people are gonna really enjoy going around the world.
Yeah.
But the beauty of the Illuvium is that when you buy into the Illuvium token, you're not buying into the Illuvium Auto Battler or the Illuvium Adventure mode. You're buying into all of it.
Mm.
To link it with the tokenomics, all the revenue earned through these games will go back into the value of the Illuvium token. The different buybacks, revenue distributions that they're doing. Like, it gets a bit technical about how it all works, which we can definitely get into at a later date.
Yeah.
But essentially, to think about it, the more people that play and interact with Illuvium, the higher the token price goes. And Illuvium will get its chance at being the first AAA blockchain game. It's got a free runway.
So that's first. Narrative is first AAA game, which means it's going to be the first game on the blockchain that's actually got proper graphics.
Yeah.
That's actually immersive.
Fun gameplay.
That's actually fun. That's actually large and resembles the games that we play right now.
And it's going to continue building.
Second is we've got the team.
All Australian based.
Australia.
Very popular game, very popular team. And part of their qualities, we've spoken about this before, is kind of their honesty, and about their how are we describing it? Like their brutal honesty or transparency.
Radical transparency.
Radical transparency
is what I would say.
That's the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're Australians, they're larrikins. I'd love to meet these guys one day. It would be great to meet Kieran and all the different Warwicks. Their dad was a professional tennis player. Their older brother is one of the leads of Synthetics, a very popular early crypto project. I think it was related to putting stocks on the blockchain. Great idea. So they have a lot of positive things pulling them into like the successful narrative of the team winning.
Exactly. And what I think is phenomenal is their ability to hire in this market. Their growth has been exceptional.
Yeah, so they can hire everywhere in the world.
Yeah, so they've genuinely hired the best of the best in so many different areas.
Yeah.
And to me, that says a lot about a team, that how quickly they can grow and they can support a culture like that.
Yeah.
And people are working around the clock to meet deadlines. So that, for me, says a lot about the team involved.
Yeah, completely agree. And they're still going through challenges and learning how to manage all of that. And the beautiful thing about it is you see them grow. Like I've seen Kieran grow and I've seen the others. Like Kieran used to just talk shit about Axie all the time and get into fights on Twitter. Like he stopped doing that. He's just focused on his project. Great project. All the success of Illuvium will be tied to the Illuvium token.
Yes.
Which is what you want when you're, because like we were saying before, you could have a great idea, great project. The tokenomics is shit, doesn't matter. But the tokenomics are great. So it's kind of the magic. Like it's got everything. And I think it's great. And not financial advice, but I'm personally buying more Illuvium any chance I can get. Because it's launching, I think, that they haven't given an exact date, but that open beta will launch I think it's May at the latest. So sometime in May. So it's a couple of months away. And all I'm saying is if you get millions of Philippines and a lot of different, there was a few other countries as well playing Axie Infinity. There's absolute terrible game, very average game, not that fun. You get them playing Illuvium, they're going to enjoy it. And the more people come in, and it's a last point about Illuvium too, a few months in, I think within the first year, they're holding an esports tournament. That will be the biggest esports tournament of all time in terms of prize money.
40 million.
Something like that. I think it's even more. And it will depend on the price of the token as well. That's part of it. Which, to do a full tangent, because we need to go in a second, is about the macroeconomic scale, back to where we started, about what's going to happen next. We've got no idea. If Bitcoin and the global economic stuff continues to go down, it will be hard for something like Illuvium to go up. But in saying that, we are moving into we'll finish it off here, but we're moving from a period of mostly speculation and little utility in tokens to more of a period of more utility with the tokens, and
Correct.
still speculation though. That's the thing. That's what keeps the
Yeah.
range of the prices. But if a token can have good utility and people can buy in and actually enjoy the game, gamers will play the game no matter what the market is doing, if the game is fun.
Yes.
So Illuvium's got a great chance of doing that. There are some risks, of course, but I think it's worth the risk, and I'm personally buying more Illuvium.
And I think we will need to do a whole nother deep dive into Illuvium. I think that's what the people want.
I think so.
And we'll do a deep dive and really break down what it is, the tokenomics, and why we're super bullish. We have a bit of an overview today. We'll do a deep dive into it, have a look into it, talk about more what it is, and really flesh out sort of our theory, our thesis on it.
Yeah.
Because it's really interesting. I don't really see too many other projects doing it in the space. But I appreciate your time here today, mate.
Thanks, mate.
It's been fun.
It's been great. I've enjoyed this.
And we'll do it again, hey?
Let's go play some cricket.
Let's do it.
All right. See you on the next one.